Hello everyone. Welcome to understanding how to analyze qualitative data. Qualitative data is collected using either in-depth interviews, focus group, ethnographic studies, overt or covert observation, and so on. The first step involved in analyzing qualitative data is to first transcribe it. You need to first put down all the interviews in a text format. This consists of ensuring that the tone as well as the meaning of what the interviewees has said is retained. Hence, it is important to transcribe the interviews word for word. The next step consists of data management. Data management refers to organizing your data. This can be done in different ways, depending upon what helps you or ensures smooth understanding of data. For instance, in this case, I have organized my data in an Excel format. At the top, you can see my participants. I haven't used all my participants here just for the sake of providing some clarity, but I have my participants on the top and the questions on my left. The answers to the questions from participant 1 are right below the columns under each participant's name or anonymous name. Similarly, the answer for question 2 is right here. The reason I have organized my data in such a way, especially putting answers next to the other, is to ensure and to help me compare and contrast the answers. A second way in which you can organize your data is in a Word document. In this case, I have put my first question on the top, highlighted it so that I know that this is where the question begins, and then I have listed the answers from each of my participants below it. Here, again, I have restricted my answers to only 4 participants just to ensure clarity. In the next page, you can see my question number 2, and I have again answers from all my participants, all categorized together. This way, I would then put question number 3 and answers from all my participants below it. I usually prefer using a Word document because it helps me in highlighting specific words. It also helps me in using my review section and add comments into the document itself so that I could review and save and understand these comments that I have made for later review, as well as it helps me in my next step, which is open coding. The next step in your data analysis is coding. This is nothing related to software coding. In this case, coding means that you simply break down your interviews into simple units. For this process, you have to first begin to read and reread the answers of your interviewees. In this case, I first began reading and reading all the interviews, and I began to color code this. Usually, your units are based on your questions, meaning in this case, in the first question, I asked the students about their relationship with their professors before they transitioned into online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. While I was reading and rereading these answers, I saw that usually students said that their relationship with their professors was not great prior to COVID when classes were in person. For instance, the first participant says, relationship with my professors have been different. I also see that the first participant talks about how relationship improved with teachers who also communicated well. The second participant also said the relationship prior to transition to COVID 19 or online learning was pretty surface, meaning it was pretty neutral. But they would be able to speak with their professors. Third participant, however, had a different view about the relationship and said that the relationship was pretty good prior to COVID. Whereas the fourth participant talked about how the relationship was again not much positive. Now, in this case, I see that 1, 2, and 3 out of my 4 participants say that the relationship prior to COVID was just normal or neutral, which means maybe about 90% of my participants say that prior to COVID, when they were having in person classes, the relationship was pretty neutral. While I am looking at these answers, I'm also interpreting my results. I also understand through further reading that when teachers communicated or when students took the initiative to communicate with the professors prior to COVID and during COVID, they formed stronger relationships with each other. In this case, I'm going to be simply using my review option and make my notes or my comments. So the next step after coding and breaking your data down into different units is to then come up with themes. In this case, the relationship and communication is one theme that I might come up with. Themes are larger, whereas the categories and units are parts of these themes. They are smaller units. In this case, my first theme is based on my question. Usually, themes are larger and mostly come out of questions. My first theme here is a relationship between students and professors. And through my analysis of the answers of my interviewees, I found that communication is extremely important for students to stay connected with the teachers. I also found that most of the students, about 90%, 3 out of 4, said that the relationship with the professors prior to COVID was neutral. However, they also said that when they communicated or took the initiative to communicate with the professors, they formed stronger relationships, and also the professors took interest in their work and in their personalities. This would be my first analysis. Usually, every research paper has about 4 to 5 themes. If you have 10 or 20 themes, it means that you have not done your work well. It means that you need to collate the themes and have even bigger categories under which you can put your themes. So you need to have about 4 to 5 themes to explain the research question or the phenomena that you're trying to study. Let me give you another example as to how I coded. This is my second question. Again, I have answers from my 4 participants. This question asks, what learning strategies did students use to keep up with their online coursework? Remember, these were difficult times for a number of students. Hence, as I begin to read and I do some deep reading, I will go ahead and color code the answers or the patterns or the categories that come up with. For instance, let's read the answers from the first participant. At the beginning of the week, I pull up my Canvas calendar and write down in my planner when I plan on completing homework assignments or when I schedule time. So in this case, I see some key points. All right, I'm going to go ahead and color code these, let's say in green. I plan at the beginning of the week. I write down in my planner. I schedule my time to study. After that, I set alarms. All right, alarms, so that I make sure I remember what I do. With my household, it's a bit crazy because I live with my other 2 sisters. I don't seem to set alarms. I would spend time either watching TV, playing games, or being on our phones. In order to force myself to finish schoolwork, and I do not procrastinate, I continuously make a week by week schedule. right? All right, so scheduling, planning, setting alarms is something that comes up in this case, right? Second participant says, organize. I organize my schoolwork into files, watch YouTube videos, ask questions during Zoom, and also keep up to date on all the module slides on Canvas. The third participant says again, writing out a Zoom schedule. So I see scheduling is important because my first participant also said the same thing, and my third participant is also talking about scheduling and planning again. After every class, I write down due dates for my planner. So prior planning and planning and scheduling. I have finally figured out a good space to keep all of my books and supplies so everything is together and easy. So organization. I see some kind of organization taking place here. It is also important to ask questions. All right. This is the second person saying important to ask questions during lectures or after lectures. If I get confused about an assignment or want clarification on a due date, I will ask in the Zoom lecture or email. All right, so asking questions. Planning, scheduling, and prior planning seems to be the categories that come up right now. I write down all my assignments for the rest of the semester. Wow, awesome. Pre-planning again. And with little check mark boxes and then tape it to my, all right, this is again planning and organizing and staying up to date. It helps me remember things so that they don't fall through the cracks and I stay up to date. All right, okay. These are some really great points that have come up with the learning strategies that students are using to keep up with their coursework. This helps me come up with my next theme. So using my review option and comment option again, I think, of my second theme. Maybe my second theme could be about coping strategies or learning strategies during COVID, right? So student learning strategies for virtual learning. And what did I find out? All right, the first important thing that I found out was prior scheduling, right? Planning, right? Making timetables, about work to be done, right? What else? Oh, asking questions on Zoom. So these were some of the themes that came up while I was reading these 4 answers from my 4 participants, right? Now, you have 10 participants or more. Now, just because I have limited number of participants, I do not have a large number of themes or sub-themes that are coming up. Sorry, subcategories that are coming up. But the more data you look at, you might find either answers which are you might come up with categories or units which are contradicting to your already existing categories. Hence, in that case, you will come up with a few more categories, or you can simply keep adding to these already existing categories. This is called as coming up with a framework. Quotations. Quotations are important to illustrate what you're trying to explain in your analysis and your results section. Quotations are simply quotes or words that your interviewees have spoken. So while you're doing the deep reading and coding process, you simply mark some quotations that you come across as interesting and representative of the theme that you're talking about. The last step in any qualitative study is writing of the results. Usually, in your case, you'll be writing a research report, which means that you'll be giving me a general overview of your research, about 1 to 2 paragraphs about what your research topic was, what were your objectives, who were the participants you interviewed or conducted focus groups with, what was their age, what was their gender, what were their educational qualifications, and the other demographics that you have collected during your interview process. The next step is to then explain your theme. In this case, I have taken my question number 3 and come up with a theme that we just looked at. Coping or learning strategies that students used during COVID-19. And I explain here what we tried to understand or explain. We investigated learning strategies students adopted during their sudden transition to COVID-19, and how they use these strategies to excel in a learning environment. Every time I write my results, I keep going back to my analysis or the themes that I have come up with. In this case, the second theme that I'm looking at. I had found out that students were prior scheduling, sometimes a semester before, sometimes weeks before, sometimes a week before. They were also planning using different books, setting alarms. Many of them were also asking questions to succeed. I go back to writing my results based on this. Now, although this is a qualitative study, you should not give up on your numbers. It's a great way to keep a tab on how many students did this or positively reported, let's say, their relationship with their teachers, how many were neutral and how many were negative. Whenever these statistics actually add some value to what you're talking about, to your qualitative interpretation of the results. In this case, I have tried my level best to give numbers. Although I say a majority of students, my readers would like to know how many. So in this case, I first stated the strategies, right? Students used mainly strategies consist of remaining focused on their task. They did not want to procrastinate or become lazy at home, and hence many wanted to remain organized, updated. Many would write down their tasks or even talk or keep talking with their professors. Also, we had a number of students using planners. When I say number, I would want to give how many. It's a general interpretation of how many these students would be. So about 40 to 45 students use personal planners, to-do lists, Canvas calendars, set deadlines, set reminders on their phones. Remember, when we did this research along with one of my students, we actually interviewed 90 students, and hence these big numbers here. In your case, since the number of interviewees is less, this percentage would definitely be really less. Now, you have already chosen your quotations, and quotations can be used to interpret or help your readers interpret your explanations of your results. So in this case, when I talk about what students are doing to keep up with virtual learning, I found a great little quotation from a student which kind of summarizes what all other students were doing. All right, and this one says, "Online instructions has made me prepare myself more. Looking over the notes before session, listening to the professors, actively listening to professors, going over information quickly, looking at pinpointers, following up with professors, and the transition online has also pushed me to communicate more with the professors in order to succeed in my virtual learning classes." So, what do you interpret based on this? We interpret that COVID-19 is in fact help students form better relationship with their teachers, right? Has made them become good planners, schedulers, and that a number of students, despite the situation, want to succeed through virtual classes. So these could be your interpretations from the findings that you have come up with under this theme. In this way, you would be writing the results for every single theme. Again, these themes need to be around 4 to 5 and not too many. And under each theme, you need to illustrate that theme with a really wonderful quotation that summarizes the results. If you wish to find out more about how results are written, you can go and look at my study, the one of which I have used the example in this video, transactional distance during COVID-19. If you click on download full text PDF or read full text PDF, you would be able to scroll down and look at my study that I wrote with a graduate student. If you scroll down further, you would come across the results. And this is how results are written. I don't really summarize the whole research here like you would be doing in your report, but you could see how I have named the themes, how I have a representative quote, how I explain the results under each theme. I will be providing a link of the study and the PDF of the study on Canvas.